Well, now it's time for action, and the riders must speak out on the track in the lonely language that they really know, of course. Well, with me is Alun Rossiter, and hopefully each week we're going to take a look at the two teams that are competing. Tonight, of course, it's Peterborough, and the action is for challenge match. But Alun, although it's a challenge match, the riders are going to be keyed up, obviously, because they're not going to be easing up. It's the first match of the season, and presumably they're going to be out there right from the word go.
Oh, most definitely. There'll be a few new faces out there, you know, willing to impress the home support to try and gain a little support on their side, because I think there's a few supporters who are a little bit, you know, is he coming back and stuff like that. So I think a few of the riders will be going out, you know, full guns blowing and, you know, trying to impress the supporters, you know, and obviously going out and do well for themselves to get a good... It's always good to get a good start to the season. It sort of gives you a good kick start, really.
How much is it going to put fear into the other opponents when they look at the spearhead of Rickardsson and Adams at Poole? I mean, is that really going to strike fear into their heart?
Well, it must be quite daunting, really, if you think about it. Heat 13 and Heat 5th, you know, the final race, you know, with Tony and Leigh coming out against you, you know. On it, like say, an honest day, Leigh can beat anybody, and he does it regular week in, week out, you know, in the British League. Obviously, he's trying to get over this bit with the Grand Prix, but yeah, you know, Tony's Tony. We all know what Tony can do round here. But it took Tony a few meetings to settle himself into the Wimborne Road track. Once you get the setup right and get the engines tuned right, then I think you'll see Leigh ADAMS to be pretty nigh on unbeatable around here.
Absolutely. What about the bottom end? Because people have said that the bottom end could be a bit exposed. Do you think that the inexperience, perhaps, of the likes of Compton, Davey WATT, and of course David Ruud, is that likely to have an effect?
I don't know really, because I'm looking around. Even the other sort of bottom end teams are not that brilliant. With due respect to them, I don't think so. Anyway, I just think I think Poole. You know, after watching David Ruud last year in that challenge match towards the end of the season, I think once he settles down after a couple of meetings, I think he's going to have a very good year this year. And what he's going to get better and better, and with him doubling up with Kings Lynn each week, it will just sort of, you know, if he's had a good meeting the night before, he's going to come down here with no worries on his shoulder, because the Speedway is all about confidence. And if he's gone out and scored a handful the night before and he's riding here on a Wednesday, he's going to come down here. He's not going to fear nobody, and he's only young too, and I think he's got a good future ahead for David.
For me, Lukas DRYML is one of the most exciting. Of course, he's the under-21 world champion and could be set to improve even more this year.
Yes, most definitely. I think Lukas was branded a little bit, you know, just did well in the Grand Prix and wasn't so well, you know, in the British League. But I've been talking to him just recently, and he's telling me he's far more settled now with his setup, you know, in British League, and time he gets dialed into the Poole track. I think, you know, I don't think he'll set the world like straight away, but I think it will come with Lukas. You know, just a little bit of time. And he's proved like what he can do in the Grand Prix. So if he can do that in the Grand Prix, I'm sure it's going to happen in the British League.
Changing sides for a moment and looking at the Peterborough team, obviously Ryan Sullivan has really earmarked or put his place in the Hall of Fame last year. A tremendous Grand Prix season. Can he improve on that?
Well, that's the big question now. Like Ryan, you know, he was a pretender to Tony's crown last year at one stage, and then it sort of tailed off. But Ryan's, you know, got great potential, and you know, he's proved he can do it. So it's just a matter of, you know, keeping it going. I think everybody's been trying to do it, and nobody's just quite sussed it yet. But you know, most definitely, Ryan's going to be thereabouts again this year.
And of course, it's a welcome back for Hans Andersen and Gary Havelock. And I understand Gary actually hasn't ridden since his accident here, which was the same day, of course, as yours. No,
that's right. I was just talking to Javi just before the meeting, and he said to me he was a bit apprehensive. He had a first ride on a bike yesterday, and he said to me that he was a bit apprehensive, and things have turned out better than he actually thought. He said he really thought he was going to struggle with, you know, with his arm, but he's actually said his legs are hurting more than his arms. So, you know, it's great to see Avi back, and, you know, obviously he'll be wanting to do well tonight. He knows the quickest way around this track, especially around the inside line.
And a big year for Hans, of course, joining the Grand Prix for the first time.
Yeah, I think Hans will be... it's a big learning year for Hans. I think last year, in fairness to Hans, a lot of the Poole supporters expected a little bit too much from him. That's my opinion. I think if you look at it, he just come back from a broken leg. He was riding with a pin in his leg and everything all through the season. And it's something I wouldn't certainly want to do. And I don't know many other riders. Joe Screen, he took a season out with not riding with no pins in. So Hans was pretty brave last year, and he came in as a heat leader, and really he was only like a second string rider. but towards the end he really started to show his colours. But I say it's going to be a learning year for him in the Grand Prix. I don't think he's going to set it on light, but he'll probably rattle a few feathers in there.
Okay, well, we're certainly looking forward to the action tonight. The first one to get under our belt. Challenge match, though it may be, still very important. And hopefully you'll come back and do this again on a weekly basis with us.
Yeah, if you want me to. Do you know where I am? Just give us a call.
We hope so, don't we? He talks well.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's a pleasure to welcome back Hans Andersen, although I have to say I'm not so sure about the colour scheme, red, white and black this year for the Peterborough Panthers. What's it like to come back to Poole?
Oh, it's a bit weird. Unfortunately, I couldn't be in the Poole team this year, so, but I'm pleased at the way everything's fallen into place for me at Peterborough. But it is a bit weird, especially actually being in our first meeting down at Poole. But hopefully I can use that to my advantage.
Absolutely. Well, of course, you've got a good knowledge of the track now after a couple of years here. I'm sure it'll suit you just as well. How about a big year for you, of course, because it's your entrance into the Grand Prix, which I know was something you longed for.
Yeah, I was pleased when they phoned me up about a GP and everything. It's always better to get in because someone pulls out instead of a major injury, so I was pleased that someone pulled out.
And is it good to be riding with Javi again?
Yeah, of course, but I was spending 2 years with Javi here before, so I was pleased when he was at Peterborough as well, so we have a good time.
It's almost home from home in some respects.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, we wish you good luck tonight, and as I say, don't try too hard though, eh?
No, well, it's like I'm still a bit rusty on the bike. It's only a challenge match and the season's long, so I'll take it easy, try a few things. So, but I'll give it my best shot, but won't overdo anything.
Well, good luck. Have a good one.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Cheers, Hans. Thank you for that. Well, unfortunately, we missed the opportunity to speak to this gentleman on press and practice day. Davey WATT, it's good to see you back at Poole. Good to see you in Pirates uniform.
Yeah, I'm very happy about it. It's it's a new year and it's very exciting. I'm going to be very busy this year and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Of course, the trick is you've already been in action. You were in action last night, and I understand it went rather well.
Yeah, it did. I was on a maximum until heat 15, but had a bit of a crash and rode a bike off. But it's okay. I'm ready to go today, so I'm happy.
Hopefully, all the damage is only to the equipment and not to you.
Oh yeah, I'm all right. It's nothing major. It's okay.
So we're going to be seeing you very regularly. I mean, I know you're doing the doubling up now with Kings Lynn, but of course, how regularly are we going to see you in the Pirates lineup?
As often as possible, I hope. I'm going to do a lot of the away meetings as my Kings Lynn will be runs on Wednesday nights as well, so it's quite difficult for me to fit everything in. But yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of the away meetings, and I'll get down to Poole whenever I can.
Okay, well, looking forward to it. Have a great time and do well.
Thanks very much.
Well, thank you, Nigel. And here we are lining up for this 2003 Speedway season at Wimborne Road with this special challenge match between the Poole Pirates and the Peterborough Panthers. Riders just coming into line for Heat 1. The weight of expectation of this crowd here at Wimborne Road for this curtain opener for the new season. Plenty of first night nerves. Poole are taking the grid 1 and 3 positions in this opening heat, and they'll line up with Leigh ADAMS, their new signing from Oxford, and he will line up against Ryan Sullivan, the rider who took Tony Rickardsson closest in last year's Grand Prix competition. Leading the lineup for Poole, their new Polish signing Krzysztof KASPRZAK, and the Peterborough Panthers skipper is Shane Parker. Here we go then. Bringing them into line, under orders, green lights on. Up go the tapes on this 2003 Speedway season here at Poole, with Leigh ADAMS making an immediate hit. And Ryan Sullivan almost losing control coming out of turn 1 there, but Leigh ADAMS comfortably in front. Followed by Ryan Sullivan, Shane Parker, the Panther skipper, in 3rd place. And the new Polish signing making his debut, perhaps looking just a little bit nervous with his first outing on this Wimborne Road track in league action. Krzysztof KASPRZAK at the back at the moment, but no doubt about the leader of this race already setting up a commanding quarter of a lap lead over Ryan Sullivan, and that's Leigh ADAMS riding off a 10.15 average this season and certain to spearhead the Pirates League aspirations along with Tony Rickardsson. Just look at that lead already, and they're just halfway through this opening race. Coming around turn 3, Leigh ADAMS from Ryan Sullivan, Shane Parker and Krzysztof KASPRZAK is all square after race number 1 of this brand new season. 3 points to each side, and Leigh ADAMS taking a well-earned round of applause from this Wimborne Road crowd, and I'm sure that's the first of many that we're going to see from him this season. 3 points to each side, heat 1. Turn on the going into line for race number 2, and lining up in the Pirates colours for this one, David Ruud, their Swedish signing for this season, and he'll be paired with Aussie Davey WATT. The opposition comes from West Countryman Chris Harris and the Danish rider number 7 for the Peterborough Panthers, Kenneth BJERRE. This time we see that the Poole Pirates will be riding off the outside starting positions. So it'll be interesting to see just how they sort themselves out on the first bend in this one. A lot of nerves out there on both sides, but I know particularly David Ruud and Davey WATT anxious to impress the Wimborne Road crowd here this evening. So let's see how they fare in heat number 2. Just coming into line now. A little bit of reluctance there. Starter Marshal Roy Wadham is now coaxing them into position. They go with Chris Harris off that inside starting position, line up alongside him. We have David Ruud, away they go. Chris Harris it is who takes an immediate lead. David Ruud around, and there's been a fall already. Rider in blue, Davey WATT, take a rather nasty tumble there. The red light's on, and we're going to see a restart there, I suspect, with no exclusions, because that looked like first bend bunching. Not quite sure what condition the bike is, or indeed the fence for that matter. We're going to have a short pause while that is all sorted out and we await the referee's verdict. So just a few minutes pause before we get underway with the restart of race number 2. Already then, just a second race, and we have a bit of an incident here at Wimborne Road. A bit of attention to the fence, and we'll be back underway. So we come up for the restart of race 2, as I suspected, without exclusion, the referee considering that to be first bend bunching. So once again we need to look, especially after that attempt there. Chris Harris in green from grid 1, he thought he had a sniff of fresh air in that one as they took the first bend. He'll of course be looking for the same situation this time. David Ruud perhaps alongside him will be a little wiser and may turn on the gas and give him a strong challenge. Intriguing race for these reserves, and of course, as we always say, what happens in the reserve race is every bit as important as the top guys. So 2 riders for Poole, David Ruud and Davey WATT. Davey WATT will be sharing that reserve berth with Andre Compton throughout the season, and the contribution that they'll be making to the Pirates will be absolutely vital if their title aspirations are to meet with success. So starter once again bringing them into line for race 2. A bit of jockeying and not quite ready. Now coming back up into line. Green lights on. Away they go. Once again, it's Chris Harris, rider in green, who makes the jump. This time a clean first bend with David Ruud and David WATT holding in the second and third positions for Poole, relegating Kenneth BJERRE to the back there. So once again it's a drawn race in prospect. Well, certainly impressed with Chrissy Harris. He's got a fair turn of speed there, showing a clean pair of wheels to the other competitors, and already pulling out a fairly commanding lead in race number 2. Davey WATT already been in action for Kings Lynn, his Premier League club this season. David Ruud will be lining up for Arena Essex. He's back in third place, coming under some pressure now from Kenneth BJERRE, the Danish reserve for the Peterborough Panthers. It looks as if David is going to hold on to that vital third place, and the match is going to end up all square as they come around the final turn for the checkered flag. And indeed there's been a tumble. Oh dear. Once again Davey WATT has taken a tumble, this time on the last bend for Poole, and it doesn't look as if it's too serious, but seeing attention at the moment. We'll have to have a look at that and see exactly what happened in the replay. But a disappointing start for Davey WATT when it looked very much as if he had second place in the bag, but just taking a tumble on that final bend. So we'll have to investigate further and make sure that Davey is all right. Well, at this early stage, the Pirates have a 2-point deficit. Peterborough Panthers were capitalising on that fall by Davey WATT, so pleased to see Davey walking back to the pits under his own steam, albeit that he looks as if he's written another bike off. He did the very same thing at Kings Lynn last night after scoring impeccable start from 4 rides, so mixed fortunes already for the Aussie, and he'll be looking to improve on that performance. Here we go with Heat 3, Lukas DRYML, Bjarne PEDERSEN lining up for the Pirates against Piotr PROTASIEWICZ and Andersen. Coming into line then, once again, this is Heat 3. It's a debut time for Poole with Lukas DRYML in the Pirates colours in action for the first time. Once again, he'll be in red in this one. Not quite happy. Interesting to see how they fare against the former Pirate Hans Andersen. I'm quite certain he'll be looking to impress here this evening. Very much along the lines of Magnus Zetterström last season, who came along after Pirates had finished with his services and certainly tried to show them what they were missing. So this is a chance now for Hans Andersen, a Grand Prix rider for this season after the Billy Hamel dropout. So a young man going places as he starts from Heat 3, and it looks as if Poole have an early 5-1 advantage. Lukas DRYML on the outside line, being shepherded by Bjarne PEDERSEN on the inside line. Well, this is a pretty good start. Bit of team riding from Poole to put them into a 5-1 situation. In third place, we have Hans Andersen, Piotr PROTASIEWICZ taking a little bit of a tumble. PROTASIEWICZ, the rider in green, some half a lap behind now, but the spotlight firmly on Lukas DRYML, the Grand Prix rider, the Czech, newly in Pirates colours after being signed in the close season from Oxford. Looking very, very comfortable at this stage, and equally so Bjarne PEDERSEN, his team partner. Could this be the key to success? 5 runs from this duo, alongside the predictable performances from Leigh ADAMS and Tony Rickardsson, could form the backbone of a Pirates Championship challenge. And certainly the Wimborne Road crowd well pleased with that performance from those two Pirates. 5-1, they look very pleased with themselves. Lukas DRYML and Bjarne PEDERSEN 5-1, and that puts Poole into a lead by 10 points to 8. 10 points to Poole, 8 to Peterborough, and that's a bit more like it for the home side. Heat 4 it is then. Tony Rickardsson, Gary Havelock, for a couple of seasons teammates. Tonight, opponents. Gary Havelock, I think this is probably his first competitive match since last August, when he had that terrible broken arm injury, and he has got pins inserted, which he says he's going to not take any undue chances with here tonight. So very much blowing the cobwebs off after his long layoff. Coming into line now for race number 4, Tony Rickardsson, very much hot favourite whoever he rides against here at Wimborne Road, and we'll see just exactly what he's going to do as the green light comes on, and away they go. And surely enough, it's Rickardsson in red, who took a big blast around the outside of Kenneth BJERRE in turn 1, and he takes out the lead ahead of the Peterborough reserve rider. In third place for Poole, Davey WATT, obviously back in one piece. Gary Havelock at the back of the field, and as we suspected, Gary is going to ease himself back into the season very comfortably. No doubt about the winner though, and already stretching out. Seems to be a familiar sight here at Wimborne Road. Tony Rickardsson way out in front of his opponents. Once again, very first race of the season, he re-establishes the position that we know him to hold so well. And they're getting all together very spaced out as they come into the final lap of this race. Rickardsson, a good second place for Kenneth BJERRE. Third place, Davey Watt, this time steering clear of machine trouble to hold on for third place ahead of Gary Havelock, and it's a 4-2 to Poole Pirates, who now lead by 14 points to 10 in this season opening challenge fixture. So we're on to race number 5 now, 14-10 in favour of the Pirates, and lining up for Poole in this one is their 5-1 pairing of Lukas DRYML and Bjarne PEDERSEN. A couple of heats ago they blasted to the front. They've got a formidable opponent this time in Ryan Sullivan, and the Panthers skipper Shane Parker lining up alongside him, so altogether a tough race for these two young Pirates, but a stern test of exactly what we can expect to see from them this season. Lukas DRYML, of course, excelled in the Grand Prix last season, and didn't always convert that Grand Prix form into league action at Oxford, but I'm sure the Poole promoters will be hoping that he can do that this year at Wimborne Road. If he does do that, then quite clearly their title aspirations will be all the stronger for that. And I know they're coming into line. Lukas DRYML in the red helmet, Bjarne PEDERSEN in the blue helmet, Ryan Sullivan riding in that now duly familiar green helmet, Shane Parker in yellow. Lining up, green lights on, away they go, and it's a very tight first bend with Shane Parker holding an early advantage. Around him goes Bjarne PEDERSEN, and around goes Lukas DRYML. So Poole again moving into a 5-1 as they cross the line after a lap, with Ryan Sullivan surprisingly relegated to the back of the field. Lukas DRYML coming under strong pressure now from Shane Parker. Right out in front, Bjarne PEDERSEN, and well, this is a revelation, this pairing. Another 5-1. Again, Bjarne PEDERSEN riding mid-track, being team-ridden with the new Czech signing for Poole, and Lukas DRYML will certainly endear himself to the Wimborne Road fans here very quickly if these first two races are anything to go by. 2 races, 2 5-1s from this pairing. This is going to put Poole 8 points ahead in this challenge fixture, and as they come up to take the checkers flag, Bjarne PEDERSEN, Lukas DRYML, and for the Panthers, Kenneth BJERRE, and the number 1 rider relegated to the back, very surprisingly, Ryan Sullivan. We're ready to roll now for heat number 6, and taking the inside position and making his second outing of the evening, Krzysztof KASPRZAK, the young Pole for Poole Pirates. Alongside him on grid 2, Gary Havelock. On grid 3 we have Leigh ADAMS, and on grid 4, a winner first time out, Chris Harris. Coming into line now, green lights on, away they go. KASPRZAK gets a much better game this time, and oh, a bit of a tumble there from Leigh ADAMS. Not quite sure what happened there, but he's laying on the track, and I've got a feeling the red lights are going to come on. I think there might have been just a little bit of bunching there, and we just have to see how the referee sorts this one out. But the race undoubtedly been stopped. Leigh ADAMS clearly not exactly very happy. And, ADAMS has indeed been excluded, so that's a bit of a shock. Sure, he wasn't overly happy. He's not injured, but clearly something upset him. We'll perhaps be able to see that on the restart. Having over with his skipper, Tony Rickardsson. So, Krzysztof KASPRZAK, the spotlight falls on the young Pirates, who will be the sole representative of his team in this race, heat number 6, with a healthy 8-point lead over the Panthers. Is this an opportunity for the Panthers, in the shape of Gary Havelock and Chris Harris, to pull back some of that deficit? And is it an opportunity for Krzysztof KASPRZAK to really establish himself in front of this Wimborne Road crowd here? He has got the inside starting position, but a lot of youthful dash there from winner first time out, Chris Harris, and Gary Havelock. Here we go then. KASPRZAK does indeed go into a commanding first bend lead with an excellent gate there. Havelock, as so often, white lining it and trying to mount a challenge, but failing to do so at this stage. Harris taking mid-track and seems to have the speed there, but if anything, Havelock maybe balking him somewhat as KASPRZAK now turning it on, finding his way around this Wimborne Road track, which of course was completely relayed during the closed season, so all these riders now just getting the feel of this new surface. KASPRZAK looking well in control of this race as it reaches the halfway point. Commanding lead for Poole ahead of Havelock after a pretty rusty race first time out. Havelock now starting to look a bit more like the rider who we're used to seeing here at Wimborne Road. Havelock and Harris, though, having to be content with minor places as the young Pole receives the applause from this home crowd here. Krzysztof KASPRZAK taking the 3 points and the checkered flag to square it all up in that race and to maintain the 8-point lead for Poole Pirates, who now have 22 points to Peterborough Panthers 14. Well, we're on to race number 7 now, lining up from the inside position in green, Piotr PROTASIEWICZ for Peterborough. Alongside him we have Tony Rickardsson, then it's out to Hans Andersen, and completing the lineup, making it a Swedish pairing for the Poole Pirates is Davey Ruud. So coming into line for heat number 7. A little bit of jockeying, in fact PROTASIEWICZ pulling back. A rider who is very comfortable on his own Peterborough track, of course 336 metres, it's the biggest in the Elite League. Not always happiest on some of the tighter tracks, this Polish star, but I think certainly Peterborough's league prospects do depend on their riders scoring away. Riders like Andersen and Havelock, I'm sure will soon pile the points up, as with PROTASIEWICZ, and of course Sullivan almost unbeatable at the Peterborough track. This season, what they score away will determine their prospects. Now coming into line, green lights on, away they go. Rickardsson immediately gets a very, very sharp gate and around the turn, and looking around for Davey Ruud, who is in fact just in second place, and he's hopefully looking to join Rickardsson. Rickardsson having a look. Ruud now under pressure from Hans Andersen, the former Pirate, who's trying to take the inside line. Ruud on the outside, just holding off that challenge as they come into lap number 3. It's 5-1 to the Pirates. Rickardsson now well out in front. Davey Ruud holding on to that second place, under pressure from Hans Andersen, once again mounting a challenge. And last lap now, 5-1 to Poole Pirates. Will Andersen get up on the young Swede? He certainly looks as if he's going to drive coming into the final turn, and it looks as if Ruud is just going to be eclipsed by the Wimborne Road track knowledge of Hans Andersen, the former Pirate. An excellent race there. It's a 4-2 heat win to the Pirates. It's for so much of it, it looked as if it was going to be a 5-1. No doubt about the winner, Tony Rickardsson, but Andersen there showing the sort of form that over the last couple of seasons has endeared himself to the Pirates fans. Davey Ruud, obviously a very promising race, and he'll be looking to improve on that as the night progresses. Scoreline then, 26 to Poole, 16 to Peterborough. So we move on to Heat 8 as this match reaches the halfway stage, and they're lining up from the inside with Kenneth BJERRE, the Danish rider, with 3 points to his credit so far this evening. Alongside him we have Davey WATT, had a mixed fortunes this evening. In grid position number 3 we have Shane Parker, the Peterborough captain, and on the outside, winner last time out, Krzysztof KASPRZAK. Coming into line, 10 points of difference between these sides. There goes the green light, and away they go. And early to show, it's the Krzysztof KASPRZAK, the young Pole for Poole, once again stretching out in front as he did in his previous race. He holds a good lead at this early stage from Shane Parker and Kenneth BJERRE. Davey WATT at the present time stuck at the back there, so it's all square, 3 to each side as they cross the line at the halfway stage. And no doubt about it that this young Pole, Krzysztof KASPRZAK, he was signed up after some very good laps here at Wimborne Road last season, towards the end of the season, and looks as if he's currently fulfilling that promise. Poole, of course, have had mixed fortunes with Polish riders. 2 seasons ago, Krzysztof KASPRZAK also an immediate hit, but last season it was perhaps not quite the same in terms of Polish success. This year, Krzysztof KASPRZAK will be looking to reinstate the Polish Speedway in the eyes of Poole followers, and he certainly did that time with that heat win, which takes the scoreline along to Poole 29, Peterborough 19. On we go then to race 9, and lining up from the inside starting position. Will it be favourable for Gary Havelock? He's just got 2 points to his credit from 2 outings, and he lines up alongside Bjarne PEDERSEN from 2. On 3, Chris Harris, and gate 4, Lukas DRYML. Coming into line now, it's the Poole pairing with maximum points to their credit so far this evening. 2 5-1s. They'll be looking to extend that unbeaten record on the evening to this race here in heat number 9, and we would bet against them with Gary Havelock and Chris Harris, perhaps not the most challenging of visiting riders this evening. And I've just got a sneaking feeling that if they can just show their noses in front, these 2 Pirates will be out again in the fresh air and looking for another 5-1. Gary Havelock will have other ideas from grid 1, but no, he hasn't. And it's Bjarne PEDERSEN who takes the lead and immediately looks for his partner, and he's there again. Lukas DRYML right around that first bend and out into an impressive looking lead, and I think that 5-1 is already in the bag at this early stage of the race. The way these 2 riders are performing tonight, they're looking very comfortable. A superb bit of team riding once again from Bjarne PEDERSEN. Lukas DRYML stretching it out in front, Gary Havelock in 3rd. Chris Harris taking a little bit of a tumble there. Oh dear, and I think the red lights are going to have to come on because he's not looking too comfortable. No, he is up, but I think the referee has got very little option there but to stop the race. And as they come into line for heat 10, we've got Hans Andersen racing off the inside starting position. Alongside him, Krzysztof KASPRZAK. On gate position 3 is Piotr PROTASIEWICZ, not having the best of evenings with a couple of pointless races so far, and of course looking to put behind him that unfortunate exclusion in race number 6. We have Poole Pirates number 1, Leigh ADAMS from gate 1. Away they go, and pretty even. Adams wanting to drop back to the inside as 2 Peterborough boys go out into an early lead, with PROTASIEWICZ certainly showing up better than he has done so far. Adams trying to mount a challenge, but it's a 5-1 to the Peterborough Panthers. Adams up the inside, challenging strongly on PROTASIEWICZ, but PROTASIEWICZ holding off the challenge of Adams. Hans Andersen still out in the lead for Peterborough, so a complete reversal. The first time this evening that Peterborough have made anything of a heat win, and this time they look to be doing so in style with this 5-1. Hans Andersen from PROTASIEWICZ, and Leigh ADAMS and Krzysztof KASPRZAK relegated to the back. That's the way it looks like it's going to finish. We've got the checkered flag being prepared, and no doubt about Hans Andersen. Somewhat surprised to see Krzysztof KASPRZAK right at the back there, but PROTASIEWICZ, the Pole, who we don't always see scoring points here at Poole, takes a very good second place, and Peterborough well pleased with themselves. Jim Lynch coming out there to congratulate his riders on that 5-1. Scoreline then, Poole 35, Peterborough 25. Heat 11, and here we have a match-up between the 2 riders that for so long last season were fighting it out for the Grand Prix first and second position. We've got Tony Rickardsson for the Pirates, Ryan Sullivan for the Panthers. Obviously not Grand Prix competition tonight, but nevertheless they'll not be wanting to drop points to each other. So heat 11, lines up with Rickardsson along with his partner Davey Ruud, Ryan Sullivan along with the Panthers skipper Shane Parker. 10 points between the teams after that somewhat surprising 5-1 in the previous race. So could the Panthers be mounting something of a comeback in the later stages, having trailed by as much as 14 points? Rickardsson having the advantage of the inside starting position. Just getting himself teed up. And the starter just bring him into line. It's a Rickardsson-Sullivan matchup. Probably see a bit more of that in heats 13 and 15. Away goes Rickardsson from the inside, Sullivan on the outside. These two together. Sullivan trying to mount a challenge as he does so on the inside of David Ruud. In fact, Rickardsson it is who gets relegated to third place. Sullivan through the mid-track, and well, these riders certainly dicing it up. Rickardsson certainly was eclipsed there on the first bend by Sullivan, who cut back neatly. David Ruud on the inside. Sullivan is currently holding that advantage, but Rickardsson will not be content with that. He's screwing it on right on the back wheel of Sullivan as they cross the line with half the race gone. Sullivan, Rickardsson, and will it stay this way? Rickardsson trying the inside this time. Sullivan keeping it turned on. 1 lap to go. It looks as if Sullivan is just about has got the measure of Tony Rickardsson this time out. Which will only fire up Tony for the later races, heats 13 and 15. But that time, the Aussie has the advantage against the Swede. Peterborough Panthers take a 3-all shared race, thanks to that win by Ryan Sullivan. Coming into line for this race on grid 1, the so far unbeaten Lukas DRYML for the Pirates. What a signing he's already turning out to be. From grid 2, Chris Harris. On 3, Davey WATT. And completing the lap on heat 12, Piotr PROTASIEWICZ, who after a couple of fairly mediocre rides sprung back surprisingly to relegate Leigh ADAMS in heat 10. So which PROTASIEWICZ are we going to see this time? We'll find out in just a few moments as the starter brings him into line for the start of heat 12. Just about ready to go. There's the green lights. DRYML gets a very smart gate from the inside starting position this time, and Davey WATT looks as if he's holding second place at this stage, and PROTASIEWICZ relegated to third. In fact, takes quite a nasty little tumble along the fence there. He's up immediately, holds his hands in despair. I don't know whether the referee will be too impressed by that. Certainly, oh no, the referee has in fact, yes, it's a green light. I thought it was a blue one to start with, which would have surprised me. But in fact, PROTASIEWICZ, the Pole, he's straight up, but I think he was looking appealingly for a decision that went in his favour. It's not to be, and so the race is going to be restarted with 3 riders. The Pole will be excluded from the restart, and just when Poole looked as if they had a 5-1 under their belts with DRYML and Davey WATT, it looks as if the Panthers' sole representative in this race, Chris Harris, is going to come back for another try. There's a little bit of concern being expressed on the starting line as they come into line. So Lukas DRYML then in red, looking for a debut maximum, and he's away once again, and he looks as if he's going to get that maximum. Chris Harris and Davey WATT there having a close thing on the first bend, but Davey WATT, the Kings Lynn and Poole rider, now moving into second place. He's had a bit of mixed fortunes this evening, but certainly at the moment he looks as if he's tucked in there for a second place, which would of course give the Pirates another 5-1, and Lukas DRYML has been in most of them, and he's certainly scorching around here. Well, he'll be well pleased with his debut in the Skull and Crossbones as he stretches his lead, and they're now getting a little bit spaced out. 5-1 almost certain now, provided they can keep on those bikes. Davey WATT, of course, having that rather awkward tumble earlier on in the proceedings, but it doesn't look as if that's going to happen this time. And Lukas DRYML, Davey WATT, looking a certain 5-1 pairing for Poole. That'll stretch the margin between these teams to Poole Pirates 43 points, Peterborough Panthers 29. And that looks as if Poole might be going up to Peterborough with quite a lead for the second leg of this season opening challenge fixture, when the two teams return to the track on Sunday afternoon next for the second leg. Well, it's heat 13 now, and time for the bid guns, and the Grand Prix stars of Leigh ADAMS, Tony Rickardsson, Ryan Sullivan, and for good measure, the former Pirate skipper Gary Havelock, all coming together in this colossus of a race in heat 13. Mixed fortunes for all these riders so far this evening. Leigh ADAMS got the better of Ryan Sullivan in the opener, and then Ryan Sullivan came out and showed a clean pair of wheels to Tony Rickardsson. They're all now grouped in together with Ryan Sullivan on the inside starting position in green, and Leigh ADAMS right alongside him in red as away they go. Rickardsson was first to show, but well, Leigh ADAMS has just boxed Ryan Sullivan very neatly on the first bend, allowing Tony Rickardsson to blast around the outside, and that looks as if there's a 5-1 for the Poole Pirates on the cards. I don't think anyone's going to catch Tony Rickardsson, because he's absolutely flying after just one lap of this heat 13. He's well clear. Leigh ADAMS tucking in into second place, but what a good first bend that was by ADAMS. He just a wheel ahead of Ryan Sullivan and boxed him in completely. Sullivan had nowhere to go. Of course, that allowed Rickardsson the chance to. Oh dear, I see Rickardsson's hand going up there. No, he's got a bit of intermittent bike trouble. I think it's a bit of a start and stop thing. He's looking around. No, it's gone completely, I think. No. Well, poor old Tony Rickardsson. It looks as if he was absolutely flying in front there. Well, he certainly was until that bike started to peter out. And so that left Leigh ADAMS to take the checkers flag for the Pirates, and Peterborough to fill it in the minor places with Ryan Sullivan and Gary Havelock. So commiserations to Tony. Obviously be disappointed with that last place, but straight back in the pits to get that bike ready. Maybe he'll be looked to for a race in the nominated heat 15, which we'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, that makes the scoreline 46 to Poole Pirates, 32 to the Panthers. On to heat 14 now, and an all-Scandinavian race as the penultimate line-up for this evening's challenge fixture brings out Bjarne PEDERSEN, so far unbeaten by an opponent, and he's in the red helmet colour for Poole. He'll be joined by his partner in blue, the young Swede David Ruud, and the opposition comes in the shape of Hans Andersen, the former Pirate, and his partner Kenneth BJERRE. Just coming into line now. Even looking race this, and let's see if Bjarne PEDERSEN can open up the season with a bonus maximum. Of course, he may well get the call up for heat 15, but he's certainly here in heat 14 in red, where he's looking to make his presence felt. Just coming into line then. PEDERSEN is from grid 3 position. Not such a good gate from Bjarne this time, but more than made up by David Ruud, who gives them a bit of a heave-ho on the first bend from the inside and takes a lead, allowing Bjarne PEDERSEN to sneak through the inside. But it looks as if Hans Andersen's having none of that, and in fact he's come through on the inside and he's just taken a lead. Ruud fighting back, these two side by side. Hans Andersen just got a fractional lead now into the halfway stage of this race. Now Bjarne PEDERSEN's come through to challenge Andersen and David Ruud back into third place. Bjarne PEDERSEN trying the inside line, Andersen on the outside. Bjarne PEDERSEN a strong second bend that time, but Andersen just shutting out the efforts with 1 lap to go. Bjarne PEDERSEN once again right on the tail of Hans Andersen. What a good race this is between these Scandinavians. Hans Andersen just in the lead, Bjarne PEDERSEN looking to choose his line on the inside going into the final turn, and these two riders neck and neck. Is PEDERSEN going to do it? No, he isn't. Hans Andersen holds on by half a wheel to take it. The crowd love that race between those two riders, and it's a 3-all point shared. They acknowledge each other's efforts, sporting handshake, and that takes the scoreline along with 1 heat remaining. The all-important heat 15, the scoreline 49 to Poole Pirates and 35 to the Peterborough Panthers. Well, they're just coming round for heat 15, but before this one gets underway, just a little correction to the scoreline, because that result in heat 14 was a little different from the way I saw it, because Peterborough took a 4-2 in that penultimate race, moving the scoreline on to Poole Pirates 48 points, Peterborough 36. Approaching the starting area. This has been a good workout for Poole this evening, in readiness for their key match in the Elite League in 7 days' time against the Coventry Bees. And I'm sure the Poole promoters will be well pleased with the way the team's starting to bed in here. Obviously face a big challenge next week when Coventry Bees hit town, because they're another team widely tipped to make a serious challenge for the Elite League. So at this early stage in the season, just a week or two having gone, we're already seeing matches in prospect here at Wimborne Road, which could have a key effect on those vital playoff positions as we get towards the end of the season. So that's a good one in 7 days' time. This has been a very good curtain raiser for the Pirates. Let's see what happens in Heat 15 now, with Lukas DRYML and Bjarne PEDERSEN taking on Ryan Sullivan and Hans Andersen. Starter bringing him into line. And will DRYML make it 5 unbeaten races? There he is in the red helmet colour on the inside starting positions. He's got a very good start, but also from the outside, so is Hans Andersen. In fact, Hans Andersen screwing it around the first turn, and he relegates DRYML. In fact, Sullivan is up the inside. It looks as if Peterborough are looking for a 5-1 to round off the proceedings. It certainly doesn't look as if DRYML is going to get that maximum. You won't be too worried about that in a challenge fixture, but pride is at stake here. And at this stage in the proceedings, it's Sullivan and in the lead from Hans Andersen. Bjarne PEDERSEN in blue mounting an inside challenge, and DRYML on the outside starting position. Well clear Ryan Sullivan. He looks as if he's going to take the 3 points. Minor positions could be interesting, with Hans Andersen continuing to come under pressure from the two Poole riders. But it looks as if Peterborough are going to tighten up the scoreline with this 5-1 in the last race. They're on the final lap now. Checkered flag being prepared. It's going to be a 49-41 heat victory to the Pirates, but the lasting memory in Heat 15 will be of a Peterborough win, and it's Ryan Sullivan taking the checkered flag ahead of Hans Andersen, Lukas DRYML and Bjarne PEDERSEN. 49-41, that wraps it up for this curtain opener for the 2003 season, the first of many heat victories for the Pirates, I'm quite certain. And with that, we say good evening from Wimborne Road.
Well, Lukas DRYML, a fantastic start and a wonderful first race here at Poole.
Of course, I couldn't have any better start, you know, and I am happy with the track, with the crowd, and I just need a little bit more ride on the track, because it's a not new track for me, but I haven't been ridden that so many times before, and I was working hard on the setup tonight, and I think it works very well. In the end, I have been having problems, some problems with my carburetor, and I've been also changing the bike that I could see I could compare two bikes for next time, because tonight was good meeting to test something for next meeting, which will be more important.
It says a great deal when Tony and Leigh didn't have their best evening, and you and Bjarne really clicked into gear. It was a perfect partnership.
Yeah, it was very nice to ride first time with Bjarne, and I think we need to ride with each other a little bit more time, and I can say that we are understanding each other a little bit more now, and I think it was best night in Poole I could have for the first time.
It's certainly your best match that I've seen you here at Poole.
Yeah, it is, because I felt a little bit pressure from the people, but I was newcomer and I was a little bit nervous before first try, and as I made the first try well, so I felt more confident and more happy now.
As you say, you couldn't have made a better start. I'm sure the public will take you to heart.
Yeah, I hope I will get in and I will score many points for Poole.
It's a great way to start. You've got Peterborough now to come on Sunday. Is that a track that you like?
This is the track what I like, I can say, and I hope I can make the good results as I did before, and it's one of the best track I like to ride, you know. Depends how they make the track, and I hope we can make also good result there.
Well, I wish you good luck. I know you're going to be out practicing again in a few moments' time. And that just goes to show the dedication that you guys have. Tony and Leah out there, and Craig's out there. Everybody wants to do well for the Pirates this year.
Of course, I think we can work well together, and I hope we will be out of injuries and having a good time.
Let's hope another Elite League medal's coming your way.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Great. Well, indeed, Lukas DRYML is having more laps out on the track along with Leigh ADAMS and Tony Rickardsson tonight. Such is their dedication. But indeed, tonight's win is an 8-point victory for the Pirates. It's perhaps not as much as they thought they may have achieved early on in the proceedings, but nonetheless a very convincing victory. And the very cheering news, of course, is that it was Lukas DRYML and Bjarne PEDERSEN who were the top scorers. And when Leigh ADAMS and Tony Rickardsson have an off night, that's very encouraging for Pirates fans. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video this evening. I hope you'll join us again soon. We've got news to come from Peterborough on Sunday. We'll keep you updated, so keep watching Pirate Videos.